If you want something more out of your life and you know it in your core, but you just can't seem to figure it out or to move forward or make any change, then I am so excited you're here because this is exactly what we're talking about today. And I like to call this desire that you're feeling, this rumbling that you're feeling inside about wanting something different in life, your inner knowing. And the reason I like to call it your inner knowing is because it's something that just is inside of you. You don't want these things because some guru told you to want them. You don't want these things because your mom and dad told you to want them. You don't want these things because you are being influenced by everybody around you, like the education system, the media, etc. But you want these things because you just inside yourself know without a shadow of a doubt that there's something that you want in your life that you don't currently have and you can't seem to shake it. So, I'm really excited to talk about this because I actually think that this is a topic that kind of goes untalked about to some degree in the realm of success. You know, everybody talks about success. They'll give you action items or to-dos, or all the gurus are like, this was my pathway to success, so this is how you do it. And I like talking about inner knowing because I think it's your inner guidance system at play. And no matter how many gurus tell you to do XYZ, and you just can't seem to get that thing done, or you can't seem to follow that plan, it's because it doesn't align with your inner knowing. It's because it doesn't align with who you are as a person. And so the inner knowing part of success is such a critical piece to having what you want, being successful, because it's something you just cannot ignore. And it's something deep inside of you that I believe is, AKA your soul. And your soul has a tendency to not shut up. And your soul has a tendency to speak and speak and speak over and over again. And that is the inner knowing. That's the I know I'm made for more, but fill in the blank. That's the I didn't think life would be like this, and now I'm unsatisfied with it. That's the inner knowing can be, that pull, that feeling of just like, I know there's something else I should be doing here, but I just don't know what it is. I hear that a lot. I know there's something more for me, but I just don't know what it is. I hear that all the time. But you do, because you have an inner knowing, and your inner knowing is so strong. It's such a beautiful, powerful thing that we all have access to. And we're just not really sure what to do with it. And that, to me, that's the disconnect. That's where we have this difference between people who are really successful, whether that be someone in the corporate world that's climbed the corporate ladder, that's become the chief whatever, that's somebody who's at the top of their game with athletics, that's somebody who has the most beautiful relationship you've ever seen in your entire life with their spouse or their partner. That's the person who has like these really deep, great friendships that they can brag about to everybody. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that if you think about success and you think about what is the difference between someone who is successful and someone who is not, to me, it's the ability to have a connecting point to that inner knowing and taking action on it. So the formula here is, there's something more inside that you want, there's something more for you, you're made for more, and you just really know that. That's an inner knowing. That's your soul speaking to you. That's something from more of a divine power, divine energy coming in and making a play, combined with the ability to take action, aligned action, action you just know is right for you, or you at least can somewhat feel like it's right for you. Give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, okay, fine. We take stock, and then we rinse and repeat. We continue to take action. And I talk about this because for me, I know I've even seen it in my life. For example, I had an inner knowing for a long time that I wanted to start my own business. And to be honest with you, it was really scary. I don't even know if it was really the right time in my life to start a business. If I'm really honest, I do believe in divine timing, and I do believe things are meant to be done when they're meant to be done. But nonetheless, for me, I had this consistent inner knowing that I wanted to start my own business, that I wanted to have something that was my own. And I just didn't start it and I didn't start it, but I could not get rid of that feeling. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the power of inner knowing. It'll continue to tug on you and tug on you and tugging you until you give in and you start saying, okay, fine. And the action is what makes it feel like you're ticking a box. That's when it knows you're paying attention. And so for me, I've wanted to start my own business for a really long time. And honestly, it wasn't until I got fired from my corporate job where I said, well, now or never kind of thing. And then I even I even evolved from there where when I did start my own business, I just jumped right into doing what I've always done, which is sales. So I wasn't actually doing sales myself, but I was sales consulting. So I was helping companies with their sales. Still am. But you can see where the time it took me to kind of get to the place of wanting to help people find their purpose, wanting to help people live a good life, wanting people to be able to have this direct access to their heart and to their soul and really carry out whatever that is so that they can feel like they've had this really great fulfilling life that feels peaceful and that they're doing the work that they're meant to do. So even for me, this has taken a while, but I really truly believe that inner knowing combined with action is the formula to success. So the other part of all of this, though, is I want to break this down even more because I feel like the more we break this down, the more opportunity that we can see in being able to actually get to that place of feeling like we feel successful, feeling like we're doing the work we're supposed to be doing, feeling like we're in the relationships we're supposed to be in, feeling like we have the health and wellness that we do desire. And the reason I want to break this down is because I want it to just be bite sized and accessible. Because I do think there are three different modes that this can come in, or three different phases, or three different buckets, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it phases just for sake of sticking with it and making sense. But I think there's phases to connecting with your inner knowing and then taking action on it so that you feel a very successful life. Like you feel like you're living the life that you do desire and that you really want. And so I'm going to start with the first one is if you're a person who feels the tug, that you know it's there, you sometimes contemplate making changes in life. Maybe you see a guru talking about something and how they became successful, whether that was getting in shape, making lots of money, pivoting in their career, whatever it is. And you feel that like that ping, that tug, that, oh gosh, I wish I could do that. Um, and then you let it go. And you drown that inner knowing out, that voice in your head, that feeling, that tug. You put it aside almost as fast as you feel it. So you feel it and then you go, nope. And you put it aside. Or you immediately shut it down with thinking about things like, I could never do that. I really wish I could, but I could never do that. I'm not educated. Who am I to think I could make millions of dollars a year? I come from a really poor family. Who am I to think I could have a corporate career where I was leading the entire organization? I grew up in a family of lawyers and doctors. Who am I to think I could be an artist? I could be a writer or a painter or a photographer or something in the arts. So there's all sorts of reasons why we feel the ping. We go, oh gosh, yes, that sounds so good to me. And then we put it aside very quickly. And that's what I call the phase or category 3. That's kind of like the starting point. That's the place that catalyzes. That's like the catalyst to moving in a different place in life. And if this is you, I want to just take the actions here. We'll do them one by one, but the action here for you, if you do actually truly want to have a different life and you want to feel more successful in whatever category in your life, or maybe all of them, maybe all of them are kind of not in a good place and not a place where you're loving, which is fine. the thing that you can do is first and foremost, be sure that you're not trying to make these changes overnight. Because what I see all too often is someone says, you know what? I want to be healthier. I want to get in shape. And then they do various things. And what these things all usually result in is trying to make a change or be different overnight. So you see a guru, he's talking about how in shape he is, how he just got his 45-year-old client in shape, and you can do it too. And you get all excited and you set your alarm for the next day for 5 a.m. to get up and go to the gym before work. Alarm goes off, you hit the snooze button 500 times, you don't make it. You drive all the way to work feeling like a schmuck because yet again, you have failed at the thing that you have tried over and over again. And now you're not going to try it again because why would you want to keep feeling that way? So now it's just the day after day after day after day of the same thing, different day. Then you get pinged again and you get all excited again. And you try it again, the same result. Okay. So the reason I bring this up is because I think this happens all the time to people who are trying to have success in their life and they try to go all in, which I totally admire. I really appreciate you, but it's making you fail because it's too much of a change too fast. And the reason that gets in your way is because our brains are wired to keep us safe and predictable. And so if you just boom, make a major shift, a major change in your life, your brain is going to be like, time out. No way. What are you doing? We're not doing that. We don't get up at 5 a.m. We sleep till 7:30 and rush around the house and get out the house, take the kids to school, drop them off, and then go to work frazzled. That's what we do because what the brain wants so badly, and it's good. It's a good thing because, and the reason it's a good thing is because it's how we survive. It's literally what keeps us alive. The brain wants predictability. That is it. And the more it can predict into the future, the better, because then it feels like it has a way of keeping you alive and surviving. That is the key to success for the mind. The key to success for the mind isn't like getting up at 5 a.m. when you've never done that before. So, one of the things that you can do is consider taking it a little bit more step by step. And I know this is really hard. Excuse me. I know this is really hard because you want the change quickly. And if you're someone, let's just say I'm going to stick with the health example. Let's just say you're someone who is trying to get healthier and wanting to be healthy. And let's just say you've had a scare. Let's just say something happened with your heart and put you in the hospital and turns out it's just a stress reaction or something that you're like, holy crap, that was scary. I'm really freaked out. My doctor told me I had high cholesterol. They told me I need to change my diet, all the things. And then so you're completely freaked out because you're thinking, gosh, I don't want to die. I want to stay here. I want to be with my kids. I want to see my grandkids. Gosh, I'm not even married yet. And I'm like putting myself in the hospital. What the heck? So I can see why you would want to make the change quickly, but I'm telling you, it is the fastest track to failure because your brain will not let it happen. So the best thing you can do is take a very itty bitty tiny small step in the right direction and do that for a while. And I'm not even going to say that do that every day for 7 days, blah, 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 because even that is something that's hard to latch onto because a lot of times people aren't consistent. I am one of the most inconsistent people in the world. I really am. And I know this is who I am. It's how I am. I've accepted it. It is what it is. I still get a lot of shit done. I still work really hard at things. I still proceed in a way that I want to proceed in. Like, for example, I'll stick with the health example. I do not work out at the same time every single day. I don't do the same thing every single day. I have a mixture of working out kind of mid-morning. I have a mixture of working out at the end of the day. I mix in going for walks, going for hikes, going to my Spanga class, which is like spinning, biking, strength training. I strength train all on itself. I do yoga. So I am not consistent with this. So I'm not going to try to tell you that you need to do the same thing every single day, even if it's tiny, over and over and again for like 7 days or 30 days, and then you'll be good. Because that's not true. Because that might not be how you are. Because part of this connecting with the inner knowing plus taking action equaling success part of it is kind of knowing who you are, but that's like a different topic for a different day. But if you struggle to do the same thing every single day, blah, 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 then don't do that. If you know you struggle with that, just stop trying to do it. So maybe pick like 5 different things you can integrate at whatever time of the day, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just going to stick with something simple as an example. So if let's just say you're wanting to be healthier and that's what you desire and your inner knowing's like, hey, I'd really love to be healthier. Could we just like do some things that would make us healthier? Instead of being like, oh, I'm going to go gangbusters and get up at 5 a.m. and work out 7 days a week and I'm going to eat protein shakes and vegetables and grilled chicken and rice for the rest of my life. Instead of being like that, start with something just teeny tiny that you can do fairly regularly. And I'll just take an example like eat 1 vegetable a day, or eat a piece of fruit a couple times a week, or take a 5-minute walk during the day. Doesn't matter when. You're at work, you have a little time on your hands, a lunch break or whatever, take a 5-minute stroll. So start doing very small things to start getting your brain. It's almost like your brain needs to like warm up to this. It's almost like your brain needs to have this teeny tiny breadcrumb moments that will let you follow the breadcrumbs to the result that you want. And so again, the reason we start small is because it'll get your brain used to doing something different so it doesn't go completely haywire and shut it down. And then you have the shame game thrown at you by yourself. Like you're the one that's going to be constantly being like, what the heck? You're such an idiot. Why can't you keep doing this? And throws the shame game at you. And then you shut it down altogether and you never try again. So we don't want that. What we want is a progressive movement towards something different. It gets your brain used to it. And the more used to your brain gets to that thing, then you can add another little thing and then another little thing. And before you know it, you're in a better place 30 days later than you were the 30 days before you started. So, in summary, if you are in the category of feeling the inner knowing and feeling the pull and knowing you want something different out of life, and you're really having a hard time taking any sort of action, and you've tried taking action in the past but you've failed, try doing this really tiny itty bitty first step action toward that inner knowing thing. So then again, you're getting into the equation, but not overnight and not freaking your brain out so that your brain shuts it down. So again, the key to success here, the equation is inner knowing plus action equals success. And in your case, the action has to be really, really tiny and really palatable for your brain, or your brain will shut it down. Okay. Now, if that's not you, and you're actually somewhere in the middle where you have inner knowings and you've taken pretty consistent action and you've kind of maybe started and then stopped, or maybe you've taken action in one part of your area or area of your life, but some of the other areas of your life are not really in order and you'd like them to be. If this is you, my first step for you is to get guidance. And I know this might sound like maybe a silly recommendation because I otherwise like to give people things that they can do on their own. However, I am a person who has had a coach for almost my entire life. I have either had career coaches, life coaches, business coaches, or a combination of all 3. Sorry, health and wellness coaches too. I've had one of those before too. And so if you're a person who's like, I'm connecting with my inner knowing, I feel the pull, I've taken some action, but I don't feel like I'm really there yet, that I'm not meeting my goals, or I don't feel really successful, one of the biggest things you can do is get help, get guidance, because this will just help you continue on. It'll give you the strength and the energy to keep doing what you're doing so that you really get to a place where you feel truly, truly successful. And I know a lot of times when I talk to people about getting help, they get frustrated and they say, but that's expensive and I can't afford it. And to them, I say, first and foremost, try to find free resources, whether that be through nonprofits, whether that be through churches. Find before you give up on getting help, try to find or locate a free resource. Um, Even if you're doing searches on the internet, like YouTube, like find a guru you really like and listen to that person every day. Um, Download free guides, things like that. Um, if you know if you have a friend or a close relationship with somebody or a mentor or anybody like that in your life, say, hey, listen, I'm trying to get help with this thing. I honest to goodness cannot afford a coach, but I really need help with it. Do you know anybody who would just mind having a cup of coffee with me or having a conversation with me? And I really hate to ask people for free advice, but I just need it, and I need it desperately to get to this next step in my life. If we stick with the health example that we were talking about in the first category, if you're wanting to get like better shape because you're in pretty good shape and you want to get in better shape, but you're like, well, I can't afford a personal trainer, something that you can do that is much cheaper than just getting a one-to-one trainer is getting group training. So, for example, I was recently getting kind of stale with my workouts because I was doing them by myself, and I thought I really would like it if I had more community in my workouts. And so I went and checked out this local gym. It does spinning, strength training, and yoga all in one class called Spanga. And I signed up for the $140 a month unlimited workouts. And this is a great example because honestly, there are some personal trainers who charge $140 a session or more. And so if you think about this, this is basically personal training, but in a group setting. So that's also an option. So my point is, if you're really someone who's in this middle category where you're not quite there yet, but you want to get there and you're trying and it's kind of messy and you're sort of in that messy middle, I highly recommend you try to seek out help. Try to find somebody who can help you kind of get to that next stage because that's the best avenue for you. Okay, stage number three. Stage number three. If you're the person who is living it up and you really know how to connect with that inner knowing and you take action, you take aligned action, and you're just doing awesome, but you're still desiring just a little bit more, honestly, first and foremost, I'll say give yourself a break because you're doing awesome. But secondly, I would say a good step for you if you're wanting to just level up a little bit more, because you have that inner knowing telling you to, not to be confused with our ego wanting more just for the sake of wanting more and more identity. Um, or you're seeing people be millionaires by owning their own business, and you're like, I want to be a millionaire, but you have no idea why. You just have this sense that you want to be a millionaire. So my point is, you're in the category you need to be careful because your inner knowing can get confused with your mind's desire to have things for sake of bragging, fitting in, all the things. So you have to be kind of careful. But if you're hearing your inner knowing and you're hearing that inner voice just want a little something different or more, my advice to you is I like to kind of stick with the second category and getting guidance and help because I really truly believe guidance, coaches, help, therapists, group coaching, those types of things. I think those are truly what takes you to the next level in life. But again, if it's something you want to try to do on your own, one thing that you can think about doing is giving yourself space to not be so connected to everything else. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but if you have an inner knowing and you're trying to listen to it and you're trying to go to the next step, one of the things that people really overlook at this stage is continuing to connect with that inner knowing and getting that inspired action. So some people who are really in this category because they're very successful, sometimes they're very busy, sometimes they fill their days full with workouts and work and relationship building and all the things, and that's great. But one thing that has really helped me, and I really honestly, it's not even a tool, it's not a book, it's not a course, it's not a person, is just having time alone. And that allows for there to be an even higher connecting point with your inner knowing, your soul, your divinity, your higher power. And just doing one tiny little thing And that is having time to be alone in silence, even if it's just 10 minutes. And I know a lot of you will say, but Melissa, my day is filled top to bottom. I get up, the kids wake up, I got to get them ready for school. I take them to school, and then I go to work, and my day's filled with meetings. And then I go to lunch, and then I rush to the school because one of my kids forgot. You get my point. So there might be this feeling of like, okay, that's nice, but I don't have 10 minutes by myself. And my thing is like, let's just say you do have children and you are a person who's getting them up, getting them out the door, getting them to school, even on that 10 minutes drive to work or drive to work, sit in your car for 10 minutes and don't have any stimulation, no text messages, no pings, no radio, no podcast, no meditating music, nothing. Literally stare at a wall for 10 minutes straight. And I like this because it gives you an ability to have your brain get bored. And once your brain gets bored and past the point of boredom, there's this ability for things to come in that allow you to then receive. And if you're in a constant state of doing, pinging, connecting, text messaging, listening to podcasting, reading, taking the kids here, taking the kids there, working, meetings, team meetings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you're not really giving your time, you're not really giving your mind any time to be what I call bored. And being able to be bored for a little bit gives your brain the ability to get out of the way and you start receiving and having more that can come in, and that inner knowing becomes stronger and you can connect with it and then you can take action on it. So, all in all, I think the key to success in life is having a strong connection with that inner knowing, then taking aligned action on that inner knowing, and that's what equals success. And if you're in category 1 where you know you have an inner knowing, you have that feeling, you have that pull, and you just keep on ignoring it, take a teeny itty bitty tiny step toward it, just one little thing, and see how it feels and make it very evident to your brain that you've done that. Show your mind that you can start moving into something that looks different without you dying. I know it sounds extreme, but it's what the mind's looking for. Okay? And then the second category, if you're kind of doing that, you're dipping your toe in, you're trying to go for it, you're listening to your inner knowing, you're taking some aligned action and it's going well. And there's other things that you want, you could feel it, but you're just not quite getting over that finish line or you're not quite taking that next step. Find help. Help is so huge in this moment because there's a lot of messiness in this, like, messy middle. It's a great way to put it. There's a lot of messiness in this moment. And so if you can get professional guidance, get professional help, it'll really keep you on that track of continuing to build that relationship with yourself, continuing to understand and hear the inner knowing and to know when and if to take aligned action and how to take it. It just helps tremendously. Again, helps your mind see that it's okay to do that. And then if you're kind of in that third category, that really highest category of boom, you're doing it, living life, things are pretty successful, but you still feel like that little inner knowing of they're wanting to be just a little bit more for you in some category. My advice is finding a time and a place that you can literally let your brain get bored, 10 minutes of complete silence, no distractions, and see what comes through. And I know, because it's happened to me many times over, I know that there will be this moment where you feel very opened up and capable and able to take aligned action because you've done it in the past. And so that's it. Those are my major components and major categories to having an ability to understand what your inner knowing is and connect with it and take aligned action on it, therefore having a more successful life. So let me know what you guys think. If you want to go ahead and leave a comment or send me a message, I will put put that information in whatever form this is coming in, whether it's podcasting or YouTubing or whatnot. So you can find me and we can talk about this if you want more help with it. Yeah, so I appreciate you listening and I hope this helped. And I'd love to hear from you if it did help in any way, shape, or form. And I will talk soon.